Millions of Americans had moved to the cities by 1900. Cities had to rely on technology to handle their expanding populations. The rise of the skyscraper is one instance of this. Tall structures called skyscrapers enable people to reside on floors above ground. Skyscrapers thus conserve space. The development of internal steel skeletons and the creation of elevators were two elements that enabled architects to create taller buildings. Louis Sullivan was a pioneering architect of skyscrapers. He was the architect of St. Louis' 10-story Wainwright building in 1890. The Flatiron Building, a skyscraper at one of New York's busiest intersections, was designed by Daniel Burnham in 1902. America's greatest architectural achievement was the skyscraper. They made use of the expensive and constrained space. Changes in transportation helped cities spread outward. The first American city to adopt electric-powered streetcars was Richmond, Virginia, in 1888. Other cities quickly put up electric streetcars. Electric streetcars began to be used to transport people from their homes in outlying neighborhoods to the downtown's shops, offices, and factories at the turn of the century. Now, a person could reside in one area of a city while working in another. A few sizable cities elevated their streetcars above the street level to prevent congestion on the streets. Elevated, or L, trains were built as a result. In other cities, rail lines were buried to create subway systems. Cities were connected across rivers by steel bridges. One such bridge was the John Augustus Roebling design Brooklyn Bridge. Because it had an elevated promenade for pedestrians to utilize to cross the bridge, it also offered leisure options. By establishing parks and recreational spaces, city planners also attempted to restore tranquility to the surrounding area. Frederick Olmsted, a landscape architect, spearheaded the drive for organized city parks. He and fellow architect, Calvert Vaux, designed New York City's Central Park in 1857. The final park featured a zoo, tennis courts, boating areas, and cycling routes. These were all situated in a natural environment. Daniel Burnham of Chicago created a proposal to turn a swampy area close to Lake Michigan into a leisure resort. Elegant parks and sandy beaches were created as a result of his proposal along Chicago's Lake Michigan coastline. Large cities looked for food supply sources as well. Cities benefited from advances in agriculture technology, crop rotation and the discovery of new uses for existing crops by George Washington Carver transformed farming in the South. Additionally, Fritz Haber, a chemist, discovered how to extract nitrogen from the air, which gave rise to chemical fertilizers. Farmers could now give their crops the fertilizers they needed directly. Refrigerated railroad cars were another innovation. Farmers were able to avoid having their goods rot while being transported to market because of this. The communication industry has also benefited from technology. American paper mills started making copious amounts of inexpensive paper from wood pulp. The web perfecting press, a new type of high-speed printing device that could print on both sides of the paper, reduced the price of magazines and newspapers. Orville and Wilbur Wright, two brothers, tested out new engines. After constructing a glider, they constructed an airplane using a four-cylinder internal combustion engine and a propeller. In 1903, they made their first successful flight over Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. It lasted 12 seconds and traveled 120 feet. The Wright brothers were able to fly 24 miles away within 2 years. The first transcontinental airmail service was started in the United States in 1920. Photography was once only practiced by professionals. A moving target could not be shot, and pictures needed to be developed right away. This was eventually altered by modern methods. George Eastman created the Kodak camera in 1888. Each camera came with one roll of film. The camera would be returned back to Eastman's manufacturer after the photographs were taken. The photos were developed there, and the camera was reloaded and shipped back. This made taking images simple for millions of Americans. The camera altered journalism as well. Now, journalists at newspapers could capture events on camera as they happened.